So Tesla released their Q1 2022 earning report and they absolutely smashed it. I mean, just look at the EPS. Look how far it's beaten the estimate. It's absolutely crazy. But no, honestly guys, this earnings report was much more than I expected, and I'm pretty sure more than anyone's expectations. Even with deliveries being below some estimates, they still managed to bring a crazy amount of earnings, and that's insane itself. Which goes to show you that Tesla doesn't need to sell a lot of cars to make massive gains. Well, for now at least. If you're a follower of this channel, if you're not, hit the subscribe button by the way, but if you guys are a follower, you guys already know that I'm pretty much all in on Tesla. And obviously when you're going all in on a certain stock or on anything really, naturally you keep yourself up to date on what's going on. Not because they're gonna go bankrupt or they're gonna lose. No. That's all past, all in the past. We're past that bridge. But because you're too excited, or I'm too excited in this case about the stock, the company, and obviously the Tesla brand and their products. What can I say? I'm a Tesla fan, and I bet you are too. So in this video, we're gonna try to predict what the stock price will be by end of 2022, after the Q1 earnings report. So if you're curious like I am, smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe. All right. Let's go. So if you guys been following me for some time, you guys already know what this chart is. It's very straightforward, very easy, and I use this all the time. And honestly, it's pretty good. It does a good job. But if you're a new viewer, I'm gonna briefly go over the chart so you can understand. So we got the vehicles delivered in the thousands in the first row. Then we got the FSD price as a one-time fee. As you guys can see, in the full year of 2021, the price of FSD one time was 10,000. And then 2022, this whole year is gonna be 12,000 as they increased it by 2,000. Now we can go based on subscription, and that's more realistic if we go based on subscription based, but we just don't have the data yet. So we're just gonna go ahead and say the one-time fee, shebang, one go, and that's it. The third row is vehicles with FSD in the thousands. Now we can see that in 2021 there was about 150,000 vehicles that had the FSD, and this is in total, like since Tesla's been making cars since 2012. 150,000. But to keep things in a ratio basis, so we can see how many cars will have FSD as we go on, I divided the 150 by the 936, which give us 16%. So pretty much what that's saying is that every vehicle that Tesla sells, there's a 16% chance or 60% likely they're gonna get FSD. Now I reduced that number to 15% for all the quarters to keep things conservative. Most likely, as we move forward, quarter by quarter, year by year, that percentage is gonna grow. As full self-driving will become more of a reality for all of us in the next 5, 6, 10 years, we will probably see Tesla selling cars with about 50% of them having FSD. But we have to wait for more data so we can put that into or update our prediction chart. Right now, we're just going based on the minimum information that we have so we don't overextend ourselves. Fourth row is total FSD sales, and then we get the profit margin. Now, the profit margin is very interesting because doing a little bit of research, they're saying that in 2022, their profit margin for FSD is 44%, which is just absolutely crazy. But that also makes sense why Tesla is pushing out cars who want FSD, because it's more profit for them. Yeah, if you guys didn't know, if you guys are ordering a Tesla and you don't have FSD, you may have to wait 6 to 8 months, but if you order FSD with that vehicle, you're probably going to get it within 2-3 months. So yeah, I mean 44%, that's crazy good margins. Then we have the average vehicle sales or solds in 2021 was 50,000 per vehicle, but in 2022 in Q1 it was 54,000. That's because due to supply and demand. Like for example, if you guys want to order a Tesla now without FSD, you would have to wait until next year. So you would have to wait 8 to 10 months to get your order. That's absolutely crazy. So in order to control the demand, they increased their prices. And doing a little bit of the math, it seems like the average selling price was 54,000. I put 54,000 for the entire quarter, but we'll come back to this every quarter to see how they're doing. But for now, I don't see the supply-demand issue wearing out anytime soon, maybe in the third quarter. But we're gonna keep it at 54,000 and see what happens next quarter. We can see the total vehicle revenue, then we can see the Q1 revenue and the Q1 net income. And by the way, these numbers are all from Tesla's Q1 spreadsheet or from the report. Then in the next two rows, we have revenue and net income in the last 3 quarters. Now, the reason why there's 3 quarters here is because in order to find the stock price today, the PE needs to be justified. Now, the PE to be justified right now is around 120 to 140 PE after the Q1 earnings. Obviously, when you put that into a quarterly number without the other 3 quarters, it gives you an entirely different number. To justify the PE and get the correct or the most accurate stock price that we can get. So that's why we have the 3 quarters here and the total revenue for the last 4 quarters, including the current quarter. So that will give you a full fiscal year. Then we have the shares outstanding here in Q1. It's about 1,550,000,000 shares outstanding. Now, when you look at it on the statistics, it shows 1.03, but that's based on January's 2022 figure. Obviously, right now we're in April and they've been diluting. When we look at the chart, they've been diluting for a while now. And I do suspect in the future they should slow down and probably do more buybacks than just dilution. I don't know why they keep diluting, because they're a cash machine at this point. But to follow the trend, that's what I did. I increased the shares outstanding every quarter about 1.25%, and that's why we get almost 1.1 billion by Q4 of 2022. Then we have the EPS that follows that, and then we have the PE. And the PE is the interesting part because this is what will determine the stock price. Now, the PE right now is in between the 120 and 140. Here I have 126 because it justifies the market cap. And in return, based on the shares outstanding and the EPS, the stock price seems to be right as well. We are around 1,000. I think we're at 1,000 at the moment in recording of this video. In Q2, I put 120, Q3 100, and Q4 90. All right, now that I explained the chart, we're all on the same page now. Let's go ahead and find out what the stock price would be by Q4, but we gotta first find out how much deliveries they're gonna be doing each quarter. So let's start off with Q2. So right off the bat, guys, we know that Q2 is gonna be a very bad quarter. You know, Shanghai is down. It was closed. They're open now, but very limited. But they were closed for 18 days. And doing a little bit of research, it seems like Shanghai is producing over 2,000 vehicles in a day. So when you have 18 days closed and you put 2,000, that's 36,000 vehicles not produced. Bruh. That's really bad. What's worse is that they're not even at full capacity or full operations right now. The Chinese government is saying that you guys can reopen, but with caution and not to full operations. So probably even right now, Tesla is probably not even producing 1,000 vehicles a day, which this will hurt Q2 extremely bad. Now, as much as we want Texas Gigafactory or Berlin Gigafactory to ramp up as soon as possible to make up for the loss, that's not gonna happen maybe up until Q3. So overall, we are going to see a very, very bad Q2. It's going to be below expectations. So with that being said, I made a poll on the YouTube channel asking you guys, what do you guys think in Q2 deliveries will be, ranging from 280 all the way to 310. Majority of you guys were pretty optimistic, saying around 300K, but I kept things conservative and I personally think they're gonna do 280,000 by Q2, like around that time, around that much, not time. So instead, what I'm gonna do in this video is that I'm gonna take 280, 290, 300, and 310, and we're gonna see what the price could range. So let's see how that will look like. Let's start off with 280,000 for the first one. Putting that in, and we can see that Q1 revenue is gonna be like 15.5 billion, and then net income could actually beat. That's actually crazy. That net income could actually beat Q1's, and if that happens, that's absolutely ridiculous. That's amazing. Now going into Q3, I think Q3 is gonna be monstrous. I think Q3, unless another lockdown happens, we don't know, but I think Q3 is gonna be a very insane Q3. I'm guessing around 400,000 vehicles, because at that point, at that time, Shanghai should be in full operation. We got Texas, Berlin, and the other factory in Fairmont going nuts, just producing and delivering. I think it's gonna be a heck of a quarter. So adding 400,000 there, and we can see that in total revenue is gonna be over 22 billion, with the net income reaching almost 5 billion, which is just nice. That's very nice. Now in Q4, obviously we're going to assume that everything is good. There's no more lockdowns, no more shutdowns. Shanghai is full operation. Texas and Berlin are ramping up. So I'm going to say 450,000 in Q4. And for that quarter, we can see over 25 billion in revenue and net income almost reaching 5.5 billion, which is just absolutely crazy. Now, what I want you guys to pay attention to is the total deliveries in 2022. We have 1.440, so a little over 1.4 million vehicles delivered. If you guys listen to Elon Musk's, what he said in the earnings call, he said that they can do 60% more than last year. So let's probably calculator 936,000 times that by 60%. That's almost 1.5 million vehicles. So we're not that far off in the worst case scenario if they do 280,000 vehicles in Q2. So what I want you guys to do here is pay attention in that total deliveries 2022 number there, because we are going to be changing the numbers as we go. But first, let's find out what the stock price is going to be right now. But first, Have you smashed that like button? Man, if you haven't smashed that like button, man, I don't know, man. Smash that like button. Let's get back to it. So in Q1, obviously, it's about $1,000 per share. What I'm assuming is that from April 21st till July 20th, because that's what happens after the first quarter, we can be around the 1,000 mark per share. It could go lower, it could go higher, but in the average, I think we're gonna stay in the 1,000 to the 1,050s for some time. Because everybody knows quarter two is gonna be very bad, it's gonna be rough, or it could be surprising in a good way, I don't know, but most likely deliveries are gonna be a big miss. And so when that delivery miss does come before the earnings, there's gonna be a little bit of a market crash, maybe a 5 to 10% dip, maybe more. So that's why I'm saying from April 21st all the way till July 20th, we're gonna see a stock price ranging in the 1,000. Now in Q2, the stock price, even if they do 280,000, their net income was higher than the last quarter, which is impressive. The stock price on an averagely basis from July 21st to October 20th should be just below 1,200 bucks. Now, before you guys go like, oh, they do less deliveries, but yet they do more stock price, it's higher in stock price. Well, first things first, the net income is higher than the year before and with less deliveries. So that gives you a better optimistic view for the next quarter. So that makes sense. But what I expect to happen is that I believe they come out with their Q2, the total deliveries, I think is July 2nd or 3rd. It's in the beginning of July. They're gonna record a number that we all aren't gonna like. But we have to accept because of the current situation and the shutdowns and all that kind of stuff. We have to accept it. So what I suspect that what's going to happen is that the stock price can crash 10 to 15%, maybe even 20% in a single week because of panic. People are gonna say, all the bears are gonna come out and say,
you know, I told you it's going back down. It's going back to the ground, man. The moon.
All the Tesla bears are going to come out and say that, but don't panic. We know why it's this low. It's not because of demand. It's not because people don't want to buy Teslas anymore. It's because they just couldn't produce them because they were forced to shut down. But the Tesla bears will use anything against you. Anything. But if you're smart and if it does crash 10%, 15%, 5%, 20%, whatever, that's the time to buy shares. That's the time to maybe not go all in. I mean, I'm going to buy more shares because I'm all in. But that's the time to start a position if you guys are looking to start a position or just buy more of Tesla share. Now that's my opinion. This may not happen, but there's a high possibility that this could happen if they deliver 280,000 vehicles in Q2, because that's less. That's not good. But anywho, I do suspect that after some time of bloodbath and people see the earnings come out, then it's actually much better than they thought. The stock price will gradually rise and we can see an average stock price of almost hitting 1,200 bucks per share sometime in Q2 or sometime between July 21st and October 20th. Another good reason why it could stay almost at 1,200 bucks per share as we see here is optimistic looking forward. You know, if we see 400,000 or 450,000 in Q3 or Q4 coming, you know, that this is very optimistic numbers. And based on what Elon said, 60% this year, it looks, it's people's optimism are going to come back. The panic is going to settle down and everyone's going to say, wait a minute. It was a bad quarter, but they're not going to shut down in Q3, Q4. Maybe I should start buying some shares. It's just how the stock market works. People are emotional and they're always going to be emotional, and this is what the stock market is. Now, in Q3, with their monstrous record-breaking 400,000 vehicles delivered, we get a stock price. With a PE of 100, we get a stock price of 1,273 with a valuation of 1.4 trillion, almost 1.4 trillion, which is honestly sounds about right with a PE of 100. The PE could be higher because of high optimism. It could go high as 120, could hit at 1,500 bucks, but I highly doubt that. I don't think you could go that high unless there's some major news coming out, like the stock split. The stock split could come out in June, which can help the Q2 stock price. But looking at history, most of the time they would do it in Q3. And if the stock split or the stock dividend split, however they plan to do it, comes out and gets announced, the stock price will roar, short term obviously. PE can go to 110, could even go to 120 because people are panicking, FOMO comes into play, and we all have seen this story many times. But realistically, I can see the stock price hitting 1,273 or 1,300 bucks per share sometime in Q3 or sometime between October 21st and January 20th. Now, going to the Q4. Now, Q4 includes the whole entire year of 2022 because all the 4 quarters add up and that makes a year end for it. So with the vehicles delivered of 450,000, we get a stock price with a PE of 90. Tesla has never traded at a 90 PE, so I'm saying 90 in 2022 of Q4. Let me know if you guys agree if a PE of 90 is good for it. But with a PE of 90, we get a stock price of 1383 in the year of 2022 with a market cap exceeding or hitting 1.5 trillion. But the thing is, with Q4, it gets released in Q1 of 2023. So January 21st to April 20th of 2023. So we can probably see the stock price hitting $1,400 in Q1 of 2023. Now, if the PE is 100, which it could be, we can see a stock price in the 1500s. But keeping things conservative, 1383 seems to be a reasonable stock price by year end or the first quarter of 2023. But that's with the worst case scenario with 280,000 vehicles delivered in Q2 and only a 54% growth from 2021 to 2022, as Elon said 60%. So let's slowly work our way there from 280,000 in Q2 deliveries all the way to 310,000, matching what Q1 is, which that's what Elon said as well. So let's go ahead and see what we get. So going from 280,000 to 290,000, we can see the stock price can hit $1,200 per share in Q2. Q3 will change the stock price to 1284, and then in Q4 of end year or the first quarter of 2023, it could be more closer to 1400 per share. If we change the Q2 to 300,000 vehicles delivered, we can see the stock price going over $1,200 per share, Q3 reaching almost $1,300 per share, and Q4 exceeding $1,400. And the last number, which most of you guys said, 310,000, and even Elon said the same as this year, around 310,000 vehicles delivered, and we get $1,232 per share, over $1,300 per share in Q3, and $1,412 per share by end year of Q4 or the first quarter of 2023, which will give us a realistic price range for 2022 or end of 2022 from 1383 to 1412 per share. So we can expect a 30 to 40% increase in the stock price at today's price if the stock price right now is still at $1,000 per share, which is not bad at all. Now let's take something else into assumption, because I'm a curious guy. I like to play with numbers. I love playing with numbers. So let's just say that Shanghai, there was no delay in Shanghai, right? There was no such thing in COVID. They didn't shut it down. What would the number be in Q2? Well, personally, I was expecting the number to be around 350,000 vehicles delivered. And if that happened, we can see the stock price itching towards more of $1,500 per share. But obviously, because of all the shutdowns and all the annoyance and all that kind of stuff, we're not going to be seeing that. We're most likely going to be seeing 280,000. And that's just me keeping it safe. If anything below that, I'm going to go like, bruh. But we can expect a monstrous Q3 and Q4. All I'm saying is that the worse they do in Q2, the better they'll do in Q3 and Q4. I think Dave Lee even said 270, so sheesh, let's see what will happen. All right, so there's one key takeaway here that I want you guys to take away from this video. If you're a long-term investor, obviously, if you buy now, buy at a lower price, at 5-10 years time, it doesn't really matter. But if you're somebody who wants to start a position or looking for an opportunity to load up on some shares, the time may be coming sooner than you think. I suspect, and I mentioned it before in the video, once they come out with their delivery numbers, because it's going to be very rough, it's going to be bad. There's a 70% chance, in my opinion, that it's going to be a very bad number, like 280, 270, 290, around there. It's going to be less than last year, and all the Tesla bears will come out and say that,
I told you so, I told you so.
They'll make a whole fuss about it, put you in a panic, people will sell, and you can probably see a 5 to 10, 15% drop in Tesla price going down in a matter of a week or two. But that's the time to load up. That's the time that I'm gonna go all in even more if that happens. I mean, even right now we can see the stock price kind of pricing in the rough numbers. We can see that happening now, but that's also due to other factors like inflation rates, interest rates. They want to be more aggressive with interest rates. For some reason that affects Tesla, but they don't have any debt. I don't know. It's just ridiculous what some of these things can bring down the stock price. But anywho, keep an eye out for the next couple of months or so, because the opportunity of buying again at a good price is literally around the corner now. This is my opinion, and obviously take this with a grain of salt. This whole thing is a prediction. Anything could happen. We can see sometimes companies in the stock market to report terrible losses, but the stock goes up 10, 20% and vice versa. They do great and the stock goes down. So you never really know what's going to happen. But based on my experience and what the stock market has done for the last 10, 15 years, It seems like the opportunity to buy Tesla at a good discount is coming soon. But again, guys, this is my opinion. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a guy on YouTube trying to make realistic predictions that could or probably not come true, all for your entertainment purposes. But if you guys enjoyed this Q1 2022 update Tesla stock price prediction video, then you guys will definitely enjoy this video. This is how you can retire on Tesla. And man, the numbers on here is absolutely crazy, man. It's crazy. Check it out. You'll enjoy it just as much as you guys enjoyed this video. And don't forget to subscribe, and I shall see you guys in the next video. See ya.